Hi, I'm Ghost from GhostszMusic.com, and you're listening to The Dev Room. But first, let's hear from our sponsors.
Today's episode is sponsored by GhostszMusic.com, the only place for developers to learn how to create their own video games, be better developers, as well as have a greater understanding and dialogue about being a better developer. So, for one of the greatest things that I've ever done, or one of my biggest achievements, is joining a game jam. Last year, I did my first ever game jam, which was Global Game Jam, and the amount of stuff that I actually learned while doing this game jam was phenomenal. I ended up using a bunch of stuff that I thought I would never actually use in real world scenarios, but it ended up being that I ended up learning a lot about my own game development and what makes games fun, and I just wouldn't change it. That's what I'm trying to sum up here. Joining the game jam may have been the best idea that could have ever came about anything. I ended up, of course, I used Unity, and I ended up learning a little bit more about my own game development process and just learning about things that actually worked. One of the biggest things that I ended up using that I really always wanted to learn how to do was UI. I'm not, by any stretch of the imagination, a UI expert. If it looks good, I probably didn't do it. So what I wanted to do was So one thing that I always wanted to do was create UI that's always front facing but stands over the game, or over the playable character's head. It's something that I've always thought looked so good, but I've never in my life ever thought that I would be able to get it done. And because, it's a game jam, you have a certain deadline, I decided, I'm gonna tackle it and try it. I worked on this game called The Lab, where something in the lab would break and your character would have to go fetch said item and run back and basically bring it to the repair table, wait for the little progress bar to load or to finish up, and then you're able to complete set part. And you have a time limit. You gotta hurry up, run, get everything done, and just basically get it done as quick as you can. So in that game, I decided that I was going to use that process. I got it working to the part where everything was working perfectly fine. But of course, there's still some bugs, and I intend to go back to it and fix some of those issues up. But if I never went to the game jam, I probably would have never tried that, especially in a 3D game, because most of my time, as you guys know, is focused on working on a 2D game for Android that doesn't really have controls and doesn't really need to utilize that. Everything on my UI is just static on a screen. So it, again, doesn't really need any of those fancy UI tricks. But I thought,
you know, it would be just a perfect time to try that, because it's not really, even if I mess up, nobody's really going to notice it or see it unless I post up the game jam anyway. And I did. You guys can actually play it. It's actually on my itch.io, which is itch.io/GhostszMusic. But I ended up trying this, and I really like how the aesthetic came out and everything. Of course, it has some little glitches in it where, you know, it doesn't always front face. It turns when the player turns. So it's certain things that I do need to fix. But for the first attempt, I got it done. And it was just really refreshing to be able to work on something other than World Defender for a little bit, even if it was just a brief 24-hour sort of situation. But it's just really refreshing to be able to work on something else. And when I came back to World Defender, I was actually very refreshed and excited to continue the process and get stuff done. It made things a lot easier for me, as well as it made it more fun for me to actually play and, you know, experiment and get stuff that needed specific fixes and patches, just better for me to deal with. And like I'm telling you this because hopefully there's a game jam coming up that you guys would like to participate in, and I would say go ahead, do it. There's nothing that's going to stop you from achieving that, and there's nothing that's going to make it that you can't finish whatever project that you're working on. But unless you do a game jam, you're not gonna get the full like gravitas of actually working on a project and getting it done in such a small amount of time, and how many like kind of hacky things that you have to do to get it finished in the allotted time. And I would say, you know, go full steam ahead. Just try it, work on it, and then you'll see exactly what I'm saying, and you're gonna be like, wow, this is kind of euphoric. This is actually something that I may have to continue doing in the future, because my projects are just weighting me down because of how many hours I'm putting into them, and things are not coming like, you know, fully working the way that I want it to work. But because I worked on this project, now I'm refreshed. I feel that, you know, I can tackle anything and I can get things done. That's what I'm trying to convey to you guys. But with that one, let me know what game jams you are thinking about participating in, and because I want to know. If there's a game jam coming up, myself wants to try it and wants to be a part of it. So let me know in the section below, or leave me a voice message on Anchor, and I'll probably use it in a future episode. And with that one, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.